Hello and welcome back to another episode of Notion Bonsai, and today I'm going to be sharing with you the progression of a Fuji cherry since last winter. I made some major pruning decisions on it in order to improve the overall trunk line of the tree. We took it from like a multi-trunk to a single trunk. And now it is spring, and this little cherry blossom has just grown some little delicate flowers here, and I think they look so beautiful. I'm very happy with my decision of making this tree a single trunk tree, and my aim now is to create branches off of this one main leader of a trunk. I just felt like the other branches were way too thick in comparison with the trunk line, and I didn't really know where to look as I followed it up with my eyes. So I think this little branch here could potentially become a side branch of this tree in the near future. Now I would like to get this tree into a lovely, nice new pot, and I think I will do that today, but as this tree was only repot last year, I won't be giving this a full repot by pruning the roots and stuff like that. I'm almost going to give it a slip pot, but by just loosening up the roots a little. And now the pot that we're potting this tree into today is a beautiful hand-painted ceramic bonsai pot. And we won this pot from another bonsai YouTuber's channel. His name is Jason Hanrahan from The Bonsai Garden. And if you haven't heard of his channel, I highly recommend you check it out. He has so many beautiful bonsai trees and a massive bonsai garden with a koi pond. And I'll leave a link to his channel in the description of this video. The tools that I will be using for this very light repot today are a chopstick, some wire cutters, and some gin pliers. So let's get this big tray to catch any soil that might fall off as I take this out of the pot. It came out in one, which is a really good sign. I'm just going to take the chopstick and lightly rake away the top layer of soil. Now as I work on this, I'm being very careful not to knock off these little delicate buds on the trunk. All I'm doing is loosening up the soil. I'm not going to cut any of these roots. Although it's disturbing the roots ever so slightly, they will do quite fine in the new pot, especially since it's spring right now. And in the future, I'm going to work on replacing this from a very composty type soil into a more free draining bonsai soil mix. As of now, I'm not too worried about that. The tree will do just fine in the soil that it's in. Now before putting the tree into the pot, I'm going to prepare this pot, and I'm going to put some drainage mesh over these holes so that the soil doesn't fall out with each watering. I've got two little squares of bonsai potting mesh. Some of you guys in the comments were asking where I get this. I just searched for bonsai potting mesh. It came in a big plastic bag with sheets of 5. And these are the big sheets here. Anytime I need some, I just cut it to the size of a hole of a pot. But you don't necessarily need to use bonsai drainage mesh. You could also use some meshed tape and tape it to the bottom of the pot. I'm just cutting little lengths of 1.5mm bonsai wire. Make a little U shape. This one's a little bit long, so once we flatten it down, we can just come in with the wire cutters, clean it up. So let me see what is going on with this little cherry tree now. Doesn't seem to fit so much, so I'm just going to rake away a little bit of the soil here. Now before I sit this in, all I'm going to do is put a little bit of bonsai soil on the bottom of this pot. And this is just to ensure there's no air gaps under the root ball when I sit it in like this. I also like the tree to be raised a bit in the pot. Gives the tree more presence. On second thought, I am going to wire this into the pot, just as a precaution. I'm going to feed some wire up through these wire holes. Twisting it down in the pot to get rid of any air pockets under it. I want to keep all of these roots, so I'm just tucking them in. Now because there's a lot of air gaps in the sides here, I can fill them in with some bonsai soil. I'm going to take the wire over the top now. I'm just going to tighten it in here. I'm going to take the gin pliers and just wire this tree in. So I'm pulling up and twisting down. Pull up and twist. And in time, I will then come back and remove this wire before it starts to bite in at the bottom here. Ideally, if you are repotting a Fuji cherry like this one, it's best to repot before the flowers have come out. Now I'm just going to give this pot a little clean up. All right, so today's date is the 23rd of April 2023, and as you can see, this little Fuji cherry now has lost its beautiful blossoms that it had in spring, and now it's got a full flush of green leaves all over. And we're just going to do a little bit of refinement here today, just to sort of tidy up the tree and make sure that it's on its way to becoming a really nice bonsai. So the first thing we're going to do is remove this wire that's holding the tree in the pot. I think this tree now is beginning to develop more roots, therefore it doesn't really need to be held in with wire anymore. And if we leave this on a little bit too long, it can begin to bite into the bottom of the trunk here and leave a nasty looking scar, and we definitely don't want that. So I'm just going to take the gin pliers and unwind this. And now just to take this off a little easier, as you can see up here, it's got a little bit of a bend squiggle there, and that can be a little hard to pull out through the bottom of the pot. So I just like to cut these off before I pull it through. Pull it through the bottom like this. And then the same on this side, it should pull out fairly easily. And I can just see here on the surface, there's an old root sticking up that has dried off. I can just get rid of it. Any roots that are dry on here are most likely dead, so I don't need to worry about keeping these anymore. Another thing to check for is to make sure there's no weeds in the pot. I can see like a little mini one there, but it's not really a big deal with this. In summer, the weeds tend to come up pretty fast. So I would like this to be the front of the tree here. And there's two branches right here, as you can see, that have just developed this year. This one here is in quite a nice spot as it's growing off to the side and would make a nice first branch. This one is growing straight towards the viewer's eye, which kind of takes your eye away from this beautiful trunk here. And also here, there is two branches growing from the one spot. As you can see really close there, there's this branch and then there's a tiny little sucker of a branch growing right next to it. So I'm going to cut them both off as I don't feel that they're in the correct place. Just like that. There's the start of a branch right here, which I quite like. It's growing in a really nice spot, so I'm not going to touch that. I'm just going to let that develop. Then moving up the trunk of this tree, there's a branch right here, which I think that would look quite nice wired down like this. But unfortunately, this had got knocked earlier in the year and this branch is now quite weak at the joint here. So instead of trying to get this to somehow fuse back together and survive, I'm just going to cut this because I don't want the tree trying to heal something that can just regrow quite fast. Sometimes in bonsai, you do end up knocking a branch or you accidentally break a branch. It's all part of the learning process, but that's no problem. The tree will just grow again here. And then moving to the apex of the tree, I can see there's quite a lot going on up here, but they're all very tight growth on the main trunk and nothing can really be wired here quite yet. And I think that is all I'm going to do to this tree for today. You see, over the whole year of working on this tree, I only had really one goal in mind, and that was to develop a nice trunk line that tapered from thick to thin the whole way from the base right up to the top here. And I think I have achieved a good taper on this tree as a starting point. And as I developed this, I really didn't care how the branch structure looked. And now over the next year, now that we have the trunk line set in place of how I would like it to look, now I'm going to encourage more branches like this one here. Essentially, we're going to let the tree now grow out of control, and then we'll come back and give this tree another styling where we can manipulate all of that growth and give it that classic bonsai triangular shape. And now, as a bonus part of this video, I would like to show you this great big Fuji cherry tree that I have done many air layerings on. Just thought I'd share this with you guys. It's just some things that I do off camera. This is my dad's tree, and he wanted me to help him air layer all of these different ones here. I first suggested to him to cut it down to this height, and have your tree that height with a great big thick trunk. But he didn't want to waste all of these, which I thought was a great decision, to air layer them all. Let me know in the comments what you think. Have you ever seen so many air layerings on one tree? And on that, I'm going to end off this video right here. If you enjoyed, please leave a like on this video. It really helps out the channel a lot and the YouTube algorithm. Please let me know what you thought of my decision of reducing this tree down to one trunk down in the comments below. Is there anything that you would do differently? I'm always open to new and different ideas. If you would like to support me and the things that I do on this channel, consider hitting the thanks button down below. And if you would like to stay updated on all of the things that I do off camera, please follow me on Instagram. It's @NotionBonsai, and you'll be able to see all of the things that I do on there. But on that, thank you so very much for watching.